Gulshan Deviah, welcome to CNN News 18.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Vishal. Thank you.
Thank you. Gulshan, on social media, most of the actors are condemning Israel's action in Rafah and an AI-generated image saying all eyes on Rafah going viral across the internet. Putting spotlight in the city's plight after the deadly Israel strike. Your thoughts on it and the importance of celebrity voicing their concern.
I think it's important for everybody to sort of voice their concerns wherever they feel that they are concerned and whatever they feel they are concerned by. Uh, we should allow each other the freedom of being concerned and voicing our opinions. Now, regarding this particular incident, a series of really unfortunate incidents have happened since the past year or so. It's just really very depressing to me. I'm sure to millions of other people also. It just seems like it's so politicized that human life does not really have any. It doesn't really matter, and then it just sends me on a I start to think that do our lives really matter? Does anything really matter unless it can be exploited politically by somebody, some group or the other? It could be. So a lot of just causes get corrupted like this over a period of time. So I don't really know much. After a point, I really stopped keeping track of what was happening because it just became really upsetting. It just became really upsetting. This is a conflict that's been happening for many years. It is incomparable to anything else that's been happening around the world. And most recently, it was triggered by attacks on Israel, and then the retaliation started, and many other players are involved in this. But it's just really extremely upsetting. I don't know what else to say. It's very depressing, and at some level, I think I have the obligation to protect myself also from being very emotionally affected by it. So I don't have anything else to say. It just seems like nothing really matters.
But this war actually started in October last year.
Yeah.
How do you think a social media movement like All Eyes on Rafah can really make a difference?
I don't know if it can make a difference. I really don't know if it can make a difference. I don't know. I don't know if anything can make a difference. Sometimes I think because we are so helpless, we feel that we should do something. And then something like this might give us the impression that we are making a difference. It may not. I really don't have, I don't know. I really don't know. For people who feel that they have the need to express, and they do have the right to express it. I think it's been opposed by other people who are not quite happy with that, and then another round of what about race happening, but what about this, what about that? How come you're not saying anything about Manipur, about Kashmir, about Bangladesh, or about some other place? So then it's just it's a series of what about race. Really doesn't really achieve anything. If you feel concerned about something, then you should try and talk about it as sensibly, as responsibly as possible. For somebody else to oppose it, that's what I'm saying. No, it's just things get really politicized, and then it gets beyond the control of any one individual. And I don't really know what is the motivation behind a lot of them who are taking part in any movement. I don't know. I try to concern myself about how I feel about certain things. I have been emotionally moved in the past, and I'm like really quite disturbed by what is happening in many different parts of the world. And I don't know. I just feel that I don't have anything to contribute, but some people do. And I'm also not willing for somebody else to harness my angst or my anger or anything like that. Somewhere I think I am not okay with that, because I lose control of the narrative. It's not my narrative, it's somebody else's narrative. But if a whole bunch of people feel that they need to get together and voice their opinion, then they have the right to do so.
Then staying with social media, how big a distraction social media is for you?
Uh, it's it can be very distracting. It depends. I try and be as balanced with it as possible. I'm a huge believer of social media. I really like it. I like the medium, and I do have a lot of fun. It helps me communicate with people about my work and generally about people. And of late, um, since the past few years, people say such wonderful things about me also. So, which I would never get to hear otherwise if social media didn't exist. And it's a wonderful feeling. If when people talk about you with love and respect, it's a wonderful feeling. So yeah, I am a huge supporter of social media, but I think everybody must understand how to use it and what is your limit. Like just because somebody likes sweets, you can't eat only sweets. You have to have a balanced approach. Otherwise, it's bad for your health. Similarly, social media also, different people may have different capacity to it for it. So you have to realize what is your capacity. And I know many people who don't use social media anymore. They're just there in order to sort of protect their name. So many actors, because they have it like they have verified accounts, but they're not really active, so that there's no imposters. But then they just don't have the patience, or I would say the thick skin sometimes for social media. And yeah, it tests you sometimes.
Then how much pressure do you have?
I
How
don't
much
put
pressure
pressure.
are you under to post regularly, to
No,
engage, to
no.
show?
I mean, I'm advised to sometimes to sort of develop my image. And there was a certain time when I think my Twitter feed was very entertaining to people. And they would also send me DMs saying that, oh, like, you were so entertaining. We really enjoy. We look forward to your posts. And then I started to feel that this is an image and this can, be pressure applied now because I have this engagement with people. And if I don't post, then I don't have the same engagement. Then you start to feel very insecure. But I'm not going to let that dictate how I'm going to express. I'm not going to let anything dictate me whether I should express or not. Sometimes, particularly people from the film industry, from the Hindi film industry, because I don't know much about the other industries, but we are badgered to sort of have an opinion or not have an opinion. When we have an opinion, one group of people will say, oh, somebody finally said it, they have a spine. And then when you don't have an opinion, it's like none of us have spines. Yeah. So I'm not going to fall for any of these things. I'm an individual. I have my freedoms. I live in a country which has granted me a lot of freedoms. And I believe in exercising my freedoms with responsibility. And I try my best to do so.
So then, Gulshan, do you see yourself as an actor activist?
No.
Because you like to be part of
I'm
film.
not an activist at all. I'm nowhere. I cannot call myself an activist. It's disrespectful for everybody who has dedicated their lives to activism.
I'm saying activism through movies, like the film you like to be part of.
I don't know. Mine is a very selfish pursuit. I do things that I'm interested in, and if that kind of aligns with somebody's,
like Badai though was one example.
But I didn't do it because I'm an activist. I did it because I thought that the role was interesting. I liked the people. I liked the story, and I thought
not the message of the movie.
Yeah, sure. The overall thing, the whole project was like. But I wouldn't lie to you and say that I only did it because it was the message. Many times there are a lot of films which have a wonderful message, but they don't turn out to be good films. But in the case of Badaido, I think we got lucky, and also a lot of really good, very talented, very skilled people were involved in making this particular movie. Of course, it is important. I'm not one of those actors also who will say that my profession is different from how I think, and sometimes I do have an issue with how certain stories are told, and I don't think it's easy for me to sort of put that aside and be part of a project where I don't believe in anything. or something bothers me. If something bothers Gulshan Deviah, then I will not be able to submit myself to the script and character. So then it's better that I don't do. In the case of Badai though, I think it was more than just the message of the film. It was also all the people who were involved, the type of role that it was, an opportunity to work with some wonderful actors such as Rajkumar, and to reunite with Harshvardhan Kulkarni, who has given me perhaps my most watched film, Hunter. So all of those things, along with the story and the message. Yeah.
So then, beat Casey of Shaitan, Mandar of Hunter, Nandan Bakshi of A Death in the Gunj. Out of these all these characters, which is the one that is closest to Gulshan Deviah? Or do you think there's a bit of Gulshan in all these characters?
I think there is, as much as I would like to believe that I'd like these characters to be as far away from me as possible, but it is my body, my voice, and I look a certain way, I behave a certain way. So some part of some version of myself is always there. But it's a fun and creative process, and it's really difficult for me to pick any one of them because all of these things I did because I found them interesting.
Not Nandu from Death in the Gunj?
Yeah, I found them interesting. I found, to be perfectly, and I've said this before also, I didn't want to do that part. I was more interested in the part that Ranveer Shori played. In fact, that was offered to me in the beginning, and Coco and Ranveer were going through personal things. So they weren't really sure that they want to work with each other, but they managed to put their personal differences aside and they supported each other for the film. And so I stepped back and said, okay, fine, I think Ranveer should do this because the part was written with him in mind. But then Coco convinced me to be part of the film, and it was her. I really like her. I really like the producers. It's a wonderful cast. I'm friends with a lot of them. And I thought to myself that I'll never get another opportunity to work with Tanuja ji, Mr. Om Puri, and I was right. I'm never going to get to work with Mr. Om Puri ever again. And I just really liked the whole idea of what the film was, and so I decided I should be part of it, and I was really glad. I really like that film. All my films, if you say that if I have to pick one film, not my role, but the film, I would say Death in the Gunj, because I think when I was watching it, I almost forgot I was in it. I was just drawn into the world. But to answer another part of the question you asked, it's really impossible for me to pick any one part and say that this is my favorite. I can't do that. It's for people. Once I have done something,
not favorite, the closest to. I think closest to.
All of them are like really my whole career. Like I take responsibility to curate my career. So when opportunities come to me, I decide whether I should do it and for what reason. And all of these parts and projects I have done have been interesting. Some people didn't like the fact that I was part of a film like Hate Story, but I really wanted to do it. I wanted to see how I would do a film like that. Some people thought that I would never fit into the Bhansali universe, but I did because and I myself didn't. I wasn't sure that I could do something like that, and I have to test myself, sometimes. And if I have preconceived notions about myself, then I'm never really tested. But when something comes to me, and then I was like, oh, this is. I don't know if I can do this, but if that is interesting enough, then I will pursue it. And then surprises do come up with fascinating results sometimes.
So then how hard taskmaster is Mr. Sanjay Leela Bhansali?
He's very passionate about his films, about his stories. He's more passionate than anybody on that set about that particular project. And it's hard to match that level of passion. It's really difficult. It's impossible, I would say. He takes his time, and of course, because he's a brand name now, his work, we all know what to expect from his work, and we expect the scale and the grandeur and the opulence and the emotions and the heightened emotions. We expect that. So he takes his time, which can be sometimes very testing.
A lot of weight?
Yeah. Many days. And I had done mostly independent cinema till then. So to go there and wait for like 3 days sometimes, or to do an entire day of only rehearsals, or to do shoot a scene for 4 days. But we would do like 4 scenes in a day when you're doing independent films. But you're shooting one scene in 4 days, and out of which one day you're just blocking the scene. Sometimes he would do one shot a day, not even a scene, just one shot. On the first day, we just did one shot. So you start to think that, yeah, this is a kind of luxury. But then when you start to pay attention to his work and you start to see that this is how he works. This is how he wants to, he can tell a story. And you have to allow for that to happen. People may say it's indulgent, people may call him perfectionist, and all of those things are true also. But I think he has got tremendous passion for the stories that he wants to tell.
But what happened to then seasoned actors who know that, 1, 2, 3, 4 takes are good enough, and if somebody takes, say,
well, I don't really know, because I didn't really, I was like Supriya ji was there, but she would do 19 takes sometimes. I mean, it's tiring, particularly because it's some of them are very complicated. And as I said, it's not very subtle. Mr. Bhansali is not really known for making things very subtle. So, and that's what we expect, and that's why we like his work. If we do like his work, that's why we like it. So that's his style. So it can be very physically, mentally, taxing sometimes. But if Supriya ji is giving 19 takes, then who the hell is anybody else to have any problem?
So then, Gulshan, how much time it generally takes you to get attached to the character you play?
That really depends. There is an initial spark when I'm reading the script or when I'm listening to the director or the writers talk about the part. In the case of narrations, immediately something catches my attention. That usually happens almost all of the times. And so my imagination is triggered. And then it really depends on the type of the character and how easy or difficult I find it to understand. In some cases, it takes a longer time. If I'm given long time, like for example, when we were doing Mat Kudar Niyota, we had 4 months before we started filming. So I could really have a very slow process of things just happening rather than me trying to use my experience or my skill or like to sort of devise or make some decisions. I wasn't making any decisions. I was just letting it come to me.
Or is it sometimes the costume or an action makes you?
It could be a costume, it could be a certain physicality or something like that. In the case of Mat Kudar Niyota, because we were training how to do action and a particular karate style, things like that. I would wear my karate gi every day and use the baisakhi, the crutches. So that kind of made me behave a certain way, and then during those rehearsals, Vasan had come one day and we were sitting and chatting, and I was talking to him about an analogy that just occurred to me about the twin brothers. I said, "Ye gali ke kutte hain. They are 2 dogs of the same street. But Mani, the karate master, is a dog that is lying in the same spot any time of the day. You will always find that dog there, not doing anything. It's just lying there quietly. It'll just lift his head sometimes and it will see what's happening and it will lay there. But the other dog is the dog which will run up and down the street and bark at everybody and pee on everything and say, this is my street."
Yeah.
So they're the same dog, but then the behavior is. So once I got that analogy, I think I understood how to play the brothers, the twin brothers. So then he was like, and he of course validated. He's like, yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. So when the director and the writer says that, yeah, that's a good idea, then, and this happened over it just happened because Mat Kudar Niyota became part of my life, and then through the process of discussion and doing training action, it just came to me.
You also speak many languages.
I can speak
English, Tamil, Kannada.
Tamil, Kannada, Kodvatak, which is my native language, English, Hindi. And I could probably manage Telugu and Malayalam a little bit. My Marathi is terrible. So
Yeah.
despite
Is there a plan to do a Tamil film or a film in Kannada?
I grew up fantasizing being in Hindi films, so it's my childhood dream. So never say never. So if there is something that really catches my interest, catches my fancy, I will do. But I'm not particularly looking to diversify or my career that way. But I'm open to like surprises.
You have Ulajh coming up with Janvi Kapoor. What can we expect? What can you tell us?
I don't know what to expect, but then we shot it in London, and it's a complicated part, I would say, and I enjoyed sort of being part of that film. I did in ways that it's complex. Like that's what I would say. I don't know what else to say. People should expect an entertaining story, but at the same time some nuance. It's not really straightforward. It has some layers to it. All the characters and the plot line. And Sudhanshu Saria, the filmmaker, is that sort of a filmmaker. I have another one coming up, which is not a film, which is a series called Bad Cop. Now, it's the opposite of Ulajh. It's very straightforward, and it's just catered, and it's extremely entertaining. And I really enjoyed being part of that also, because I just could it's purely catered to entertainment. Aditya Dutt, with whom I'd done Commando 3, he is very clear about what kind of stories he wants to say. He wants people to have a good time and entertain them. And he is not trying to give any sort of a message or anything like that, which is unlike what Sudhanshu Saria stands for. So I was able to be part of two different projects with completely polar opposite sensibilities, and that's the wonderful nature of being an actor and being part of the storytelling business.
Well, I'm looking forward to both the film and to the series. I want to
Thank
thank you so much for taking time out and talking to us,
you for talking to me. Thank you.
inspiring others. Looking forward to lots more. Thank you so much, Gulshan.
Thank you. And I'm really grateful that people like you are interested in talking to me and listening to my opinions. Sometimes I just don't have any opinions to share. Sometimes I do. And I'm really grateful. It was my birthday 2 days ago, and
Belated happy birthday again.
thank you. But sometimes the messages that people send me are so moving, and I just can't believe that so many people say such nice things about me, and I am just filled with gratitude. I want to personally thank each and every one of them. I get really anxious around my birthday because I can't, because there's so many thousands of messages. It's really not possible. But some of the messages that people send me, like, I get so overwhelmed because you don't expect, it to be, love and respect. And suddenly you feel like, oh my God, this is such a heavy message. And this person seems to really mean it. You can tell after a while, you can tell who means it and who doesn't.
I'm sure everything must be true. It's true all the time. You are
But I just want to, through this medium, I just want to thank everybody, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.